Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is George, and today we're going to talk about my little collection from conventions, my autograph collection. Um, I started this about a year ago, and I figured this may a year or so ago. I figured this would be a fun little video to do. Um, I I started going to horror conventions maybe 2 years ago, and 2023, I think it was. And so ever since then, I've just, if I've gone to one and there's been like an actor or a celebrity from a movie that I grew up watching, I'll kind of weigh out like who I want to get and, the price of the autograph and so forth. And then I'll kind of make my decision from there. And I've been lucky enough that the conventions I've gone to, there's been somebody there from some of the movies that I've loved growing up. And so when they've been there, I've tried to get them, and I started a little 8x10 collection. And right now I am keeping it horror based because I feel like if I go into a different like genre, it's just gonna, and then I'm going to not be able to keep up. So but this is uh actors and celebrities from some of my favorite horror movies growing up, and I figured I could just show you the pictures, and then kind of like tell you about the interaction and kind of go down memory lane. And I figured this would be a fun video. So let's see. First of all, we have Amy Steele, who played Jenny in Friday the 13th Part 2. I met Amy Steele in Raleigh at Carolina Fear Fest. And I remember when I saw the ad that, she was going to be there, I was like, that is so cool, because she is a fan favorite in the Friday the 13th community. She's one of the favorite final girls, because she was a child psychiatrist. I can't remember if she was going to be or if she was, but she kind of was trying to put the pieces together, about Jason, and like, how Jason misses his mother, and he grew up without her and all of that stuff. So it's just a cool character. She definitely was one of the more likable final girls, in my opinion. Definitely liked her, and my interaction with her was nice. I met her and we took a picture, and I'll try to figure out how to put them up in the video. But meeting her was really cool, and she was really nice. And so yeah, Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2. Next we have Thom Mathews from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, who played Tommy Jarvis. And he also did the Never Hike Alone movies. If you know, those are fan films that are on YouTube, but they're so good, man. They should be canon. Vincent DeSanti did great stuff with those movies. So, but Thom Mathews was really nice. I'll throw the picture up if I can, but very nice guy. Obviously he was in Return of the Living Dead and stuff like that, but obviously I know him from Jason Lives, and Jason Lives is probably my favorite Friday. It's up there. My uncle really loved that one too because of the Frankenstein elements, the digging him up and then he reanimates. So really cool. Next we have C.J. Graham, who played Jason Voorhees in Jason Lives. Really nice guy. Very tall guy, in my opinion. Um, but I remember meeting him. Like I said, very nice guy. I think he even does in costume photos at conventions, which is cool. I'm somebody, I feel like if the actor goes the extra mile to do that, I just think it means a lot to the fans. It certainly means a lot to me because I'm just like, okay, it's like, hey, I'm not ashamed of this. I'm into it. I'm open to it. Let's do it. Like him and Kane Hodder are two that I know of for sure that do that. They do in costume photos for the fans at conventions, which is really cool. Um, Next, we have one of my favorite interactions, which would be Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers in the original Halloween. Nick was very nice guy. And I had, in the week leading up to when it was time to go to the convention and meet him, I kept I'm one of those people where I have to think of something that I'm going to say so I don't get up there and go, I don't know what to say. So I came up with this joke that I was going to ask him. And I walked up and I was like, Nick, can I ask you a question? He was like, sure. And I was like, Nick, you know how, like in the movies, Michael is there 1 minute and he's gone the next? And I said, you know how we call him the shape? I said, do you think that means he's a shape shifter? And he kind of chuckled and laughed, and I was just like, coolest interaction ever. I can tell that story to people, that I made Nick Castle laugh, which is fun. But very nice guy. Um, very beloved by the fans, and rightfully so. Um, Next we have Judith Myers, who was played by Sandy Johnson in the original Halloween. That was Michael's sister. She was a sweetheart too. She was such a sweetheart. I remember walking up to her table and she wasn't there. She had walked away, and I think it was her husband, because I think he travels with her, and he kind of is just with her all the time, understandably. But I walked up to her table, and I remember saying, "Is she here?" And she's like, I think she just walked away for a minute, and she came back, and like I said, she was a sweetheart, very nice, very kind. And she took a photo with me, and just a very nice lady, very very nice. Next we have Annie from Halloween, who's played by Nancy Loomis. She has some of the greatest lines in that movie in Halloween. She really does. Poor Lori scared another one away. Such a good line, man. She was interesting to meet because I asked her when I met her, I said, does anyone ever ask you to sing the song from Halloween, the Oh Paul? And she's like, oh yeah, all the time. And I wanted her to sing it with me. I wanted to do that, but she's like, oh, it'll cost a lot of money. And I think she was just kind of like trying to get rid of me. But yeah, it was cool to meet her. I'm trying to get everybody from Halloween that I can get that is still alive. So next is Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. This was a I don't even know the word. I didn't grow up watching Nightmare on Elm Street. My aunt and uncle didn't have those movies. But I knew who Freddy was because there was a friend of the family who was a huge Freddy fan, and she would always talk about Freddy. And so, obviously, being a horror fan, you know who Freddy is, Robert Englund. and he's part of the big three. Well, when I went to Raleigh, and I met Amy Steele and Tom Matthews, there were other celebrities there. And I always have like a limit, like that I'm going to spend at a convention. I can't spend any more than that limit. And I still had a little bit of money left to play with. And I was walking around, and I didn't know how much her photo and the selfie would cost. And as I walked around, I priced the other people out, and I saw hers, and the price and everything was very reasonable. And I'm just like, this is horror royalty. This is, this is the original final girl from Nightmare on Elm Street. This is Nancy. So I got in line, and the line, wasn't very long. And I remember just going up, and she was very nice. And I remember she looked me in my eyes. She was very personable. And I was just blown away by how interactive she was. Very, very nice lady. And I never forget when she asked me, she's like, do you want me to write anything? And I was like, well, yeah, I love when you tell Johnny Depp, don't fall asleep. So she wrote George, don't fall asleep, which I thought was cool. So, very nice lady. Next is Alex Vincent from the original Child's Play from 1 and 2. And I met him in Raleigh. That was another instance of, walking around, seeing who was there. And I'm just like, let me get him because this is such a good movie. And then his performance is great. So Alex Vincent, really nice guy. I wasn't a huge Child's Play fan as a kid, but obviously it is a cornerstone of the horror that came out of the 80s. So, next is Derek Mears from Friday the 13th, 2009. Derek was a really nice guy, very, very personable, very down to earth, just very interactive, which is nice because you always kind of like wonder, like when you meet these people, how the interaction's going to go. And he was just very cool. I had my 8-bit Friday the 13th shirt on, like with all the different versions of Jason, and his version was there, and we kind of started the conversation off with that. And but a very nice guy. Glad that I met him. That was definitely one of the, I guess, most positive interactions I've ever had with one of these people from the horror movies. So nice guy, very nice guy. Next is James Jude Courtney, who played Michael Myers in the new trilogy, the Halloween trilogy that was from 2018 to 2022, I think it was, or 23. James was very nice too. James, he signed my picture and then he took photos with me, and it was really cool because when he took the photo with me, he's like, you know how I normally choke people? He's like, well, I'm going to let you choke me. And so he does this with a lot of people, but I did choke him, and he even sold it. He made the face and everything, and I thought that was so cool. So very, very cool guy, very nice guy. Glad that I met him too. Ari Lehman, who played Jason Voorhees in the first Friday the 13th in 1980. So he played Kid Jason. I really enjoyed meeting Ari. Ari's meet and greet was a little different than everybody else's because everybody else, you basically get in line and it's like one-on-one. But Ari kind of like comes out into the middle of everybody and he talks to everybody. So he signs to you while he's talking to everybody. very different, but very cool. I remember just standing there and asking him, about the movie, what he remembered doing, and, on and on and on. And he talked about Savini putting the prosthetics on him, like he had one fake eye and then one was his real eye, to kind of give him the look that they were going for. And I was telling him, I said, if you watch reactions on YouTube, that reaction to him jumping out of the water and pulling Alice in, it still gets a great reaction to this day. Some of my favorite reaction channels have watched it, and between the Kevin Bacon thing and then that at the end of that movie, it's so good because people, it still scares them. It still scares them. So, but I wanted to do this video because this has been my experience so far with people at conventions, and it's been a lot of fun. I used to watch videos of people going to conventions and meeting celebrities, and I didn't know how I would like that. I didn't know how, but I started doing it, and it has been a very cool experience for me. It's cool to kind of meet the people that you grew up watching and you have stories. And, with me, like, I watch these movies with my aunt and uncle, and so I have memories there. And so when you meet these people, not that they're responsible for your memories, but they have a part in it. And so you get to tell them that, I shared this time with my aunt and uncle, and it was because we watched your movies or a movie you were in. And so, it's just really cool. So I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe someday after I add more to the collection, we'll do another video. We'll do a part 2, a sequel, which would be fun. So, just want to say thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you did like the video, comment, and subscribe. And I hope you guys have a good day. And I'll see you next time, okay?